believe it's July 15th. It's about 1:45 a.m. Today is 14 months and 15 days into what has been a profound transformation in my life. A metamorphosis, if you would. But I'm sitting here and I'm trying to think about what the larger picture is and how I'm supposed to share this. I'm supposed to share this with the masses. I'm being energetically pulled in some direction to share this on some global level. That with all of the pandemic and events that are going on around us, I don't think that my spiritual awakening was a coincidence. And the type of spiritual awakening I'm having, I don't know if there's any difference in the heightenedness of it. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense, because I'm sure there's being awake, being aware of something, and then there's awareness, and then there's spiritual awareness, and then for me, for this, I kind of, it's kind of an enhancement of who the heck I am anyway, who the hell I've been my entire life, right? So I'm sitting here trying to think, now that I'm sitting in the seat of my soul, I am still experiencing periods of dark night of the soul where I see, feel, and experience residual in my psychological bodies, my mental processes, where I want to revert back to old behavior because it's a habit, right? And habits are sometimes difficult to break. Or I will be sitting and all of a sudden I break out into a sobbing child, like of pain, and you can feel the pain in your physical body. You can feel it in your mental. You feel the emotion on such a profound level that you can't ignore it. And then there's this amazing thing that happens if you ride the emotion out, like pain. I'm going to use pain because I think my spiritual awakening came about due to a extremely painful body, psychological processes, mental processes, and they were being stored in the cells in my body. I'm being told that I'm some sort of medical intuitive. I don't think it's coincidence that I've been in the medical profession for 40 years as a nurse and respiratory therapist. I don't think it's a coincidence that I've seen and watched the destruction, the sadness, the devastation, and the deliberate mass pain that happens on our universe. I think everything that we experience in this physical form of our body is a puzzle, if you will. And from the beginning of the time when you begin life, you begin putting that puzzle together and you ascend into this cosmic universe, this beautiful cosmic universe, right? And then you grow and you learn and you gain habits and beliefs, and most of the things that you gain and grow and learn are probably by the age of 7. Because after age 7, the things you've been taught, the things you've been shown, the fragmentation of the pain and the trauma that you've experienced up to that life up to that time in your life are coping mechanisms based on five senses. And you rely on someone, some person, some place to satisfy those senses, whether it be hunger or love, compassion, warmth, foundation, security, trust, hope, laughter, happiness, joy, etc. Right? And so some of us grow up fragmenting some very distorted, dysfunctional belief systems that are not true, that are pseudo, and it's not a coincidence that's why placebos work in the medical industry. That's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that you can take a person to surgery and cut a limb off because of an injury and save their life, and yet after surgery they tell you their leg or their arm or the limb that's been removed is still there. It's phantom pain. It's phantom pain because phantom is actually fake. Pseudo, it's not there. It's not real. So if it's not there and it's not real, then it's what my mind tells me it is. And just like the person who goes to surgery and loses a limb, just because you tell them they've lost a limb, there's an integration that goes on between the mind, the body, and the soul to integrate that loss. And until that pain is removed from the residuals of their processes, meaning their psychological processes, their mental processes, or their body processes where that information is stored. Yes, we have a storage container in our brain, a memory, but your brain does not have feeling. If you talk to someone who injures a specific part of their brain and you pinch them or prick them or stab them with a needle, they can't feel it. They have no pain because that pain center has been turned off due to an injury. So if an injury like that or a loss of surgical limb like that could cause someone to go through that kind of mental, psychological, physical, emotional, spiritual cycle. I'm going to call it a cycle because I don't know what else to call it. It's just like anything else. It's like they are going to grieve the loss of that limb, like the loss of a person in their life, and they will go through all of the 5 stages of the death and dying stages. And so this spiritual awakening is exactly the same thing. It's not any different. It is a death and dying of the mental, social, psycho, physical processes within one's soul, and it is the dying of the egoic self, the little tiny space in your brain that you've carved out for yourself as a coping mechanism, as something you were taught, as something you learned. Doesn't matter if it was true or not. It simply matters that you believed it, that you lived it, that was knowledge to you, and then every day you just got up and pushed play on the tape recorder, and you walked around like the Jetsons robot that cleans her house, on autoplay, on programs that you've learned, that you were taught. that you used as coping mechanisms, and yet they're fragmented, they're distorted, they're false, they're not true, they are pseudo. So I had to ask myself, why are they pseudo? Why are they false? Why does that happen to us? What is it from the beginning of time, before our earth, before our universe was even created? I mean, look at evolution. Look at evolution and the cycle of evolution. The cycle of evolution is just simply the birth of something, the ascension into the conscious world, the living of it, experiencing it in that form, and then the dying of it, and a return back to its creator. Evolution. It's a circle. It's not any different for a human being or a dog or a tree or a flower or anything. The sun, it's like the sun and the moon, right? I honestly believe that the sun is the feminine energy and the moon is the masculine. I might have it wrong. It might be the other way around. However, the sun, I'm thinking of it in correlation to the cross, to the cross that Jesus was crucified on, tortured, nailed to. The vertical on the cross is Christ, is Jesus Christ on that cross, sacrificing his one and only begotten Son to save humanity, conscious humanity, from sin. Well, that made me want to dive even deeper, because if God, or our creator of this universe, could go to the lengths of sacrificing his only one and begotten Son to save the masses, it's the same thing I've been saying all along. It's the Newton's law. It's the universal mathematical equation of our creator, 369 Tesla, universal law. It's the two forces coming together for the greater good of consciousness, ourselves and them. It's not a sacrifice in the actual way that when you say, I've sacrificed my job and now my family's suffering on those not even on those regular, just a regular fucking layman terms I'm talking about, right? It's not like the regular sacrifice that you're thinking of. This is sacred. And the cross represents something. The verticalness of the cross is the kingdom of God. It's the kingdom of heaven. It's the grandfather, Lord, Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit. The horizontal of the cross is simply the world in which we live in. The 3D, the 5D. I mean, look at your internet connection. It says 5D, doesn't it? And if you, I mean, there's only one way I know this, and it's because of what I experienced during my meditation. I was meditating, and I honestly believe I took some sort of quantum, I don't know, jump. It didn't feel like a very big jump, it felt like a little skip or something, you know? And the next thing I know, I am, when I realize I'm sitting in the chair that I began meditating in, I open up my eyes and my arms are spread out in a horizontal pattern, and I'm bringing them together in front of me, like I'm going to grab a beach ball or something. And I'm doing that because what's being brought to me in this vision is a ball, the only way I can explain it is it looks like a big old ball, and it's transparent, and it has a vibrational wobble to it. Okay, and then in the ball, I just kind of pulled my hands. How do I explain this to make it make sense? I had my hands straight out to my sides in a horizontal position. And as I opened my eyes, I was bringing my hands to the front of my body like I was going to catch a ball, a beach ball. And I had it in my hands, and I rotated the beach ball in a vertical position and began to spread my hands like an accordion up and down, one going towards the ground, one going towards the sky, right? And I see this, the only way I can explain it is like in the Star Trek movie when they're trying to bring Spock or anybody on the ship back to the ship, and you see that white light that's in the center of that little dome they're in. That's what it looked like, a little whoop light in the middle. Okay, and then now it's in a vertical position, and I'm mashing it up and down with my hands in a vertical position, and I rotate my hands back to almost a holding like a prayer book position, but it's holding the ball still, but now it's more gently underneath the bottom of the ball, and I'm pulling it to my chest. And as I'm pulling it to my chest, I see this. This is going to sound so fucking crazy. You're going to say she needs to be locked up in a paddy wagon. But I swear to God, I'm asymptomatic. I'm sitting in the middle of my home. I work. I'm a normal person. There's nothing insane about what I'm saying or doing or explaining to you. I see this image, and it's in the right upper hand corner of my mind, or of my visual field, because at this point my eyes are completely fucking open, not closed. And it's a baby's face. And the baby is crying as if it is being born out of the mother's vaginal. And it is, the umbilical cord is being cut for the first time. And the reason I know that is because I know what a newborn looks like being born face first, yes? And the umbilical cord being cut, and what a child looks like in that form, taking its very first breath. And that's what it looked like. A child being born, taking its first breath. But here's what's so fucking weird. It was just the head. Just the head. No body to it. And it invoked such a response in my heart that it was electrifying. It was, I broke down into tears and cried, and all I could sense in the very soul of who I am and every cell in my body is that that baby I was looking at is me. And it is because during this spiritual awakening, the old has died and the new has been born. I couldn't figure out why is all of this input coming to me in symbols. Why are all of these visions I'm seeing coming in symbols, animated, almost like I'm watching a cartoon? Well, consciousness isn't able to knock on my door and hand me a letter and say, this is what's happening, is it? No. So, and by the very essence of it, I'm being informed that our mind, I don't even know why I need to say this because it's evident to me as a nurse, but your brain is the computer. Your brain is the computer to maintaining homeostasis in your psyche, in your mind, in your mental, in your physical, and your spiritual bodies. None of the bodies that I just mentioned are actually a physical fucking form. That's an illusion. It's an experience you're having. You're just a microcosm in the macrocosm of the bigger universe, right? You're just a little tiny speck. And the physical form that you're in, whether it's a dog, a flower, a tree, a person, you know, that has a living sentinel heartbeat to it, it's a speck. And there's been some really profound things that have happened to me since, you know, in just everyday life during this spiritual awakening, you know, handling practical matters. I had my little boy, Chance, you know, 15-year-old Lasso, 13-year-old, excuse me, you know, was just becoming very, you know, tired and didn't want to be fussed with anymore and didn't want me to bathe him and started to get a little bit aggressive and snippy to the point where he had to be put down because he was unable to be handled and he was going to harm someone, and I didn't want that. And, you know, he had lived quite a long time for the little size soul he was. And during this spiritual awakening, it's occurring, and I'm trying to wrap my head around being, I'm not the creator of this universe, and I'm not the creator of sentinel beings, so I have no right to take someone's life. Although I had a responsibility in a practical manner to a dog that I had for almost 14 years, right? And so it was my responsibility to make sure that my animal was taken care of. So I did that, and when I went to the vet, I spent time with him, and then it came time to do, you know, what had to be done, and they had sedated him slightly, and he was very comfortable, and I was petting him and loving on him and telling him how much joy and just unconditional love and lessons he had taught me in life. And the doctor came in, and I came to the acceptance that it was his time, that his little soul was tired, and it was time, and he could go back to his creator, right? And what I saw and what I experienced with this by going through the process with my animal I'd seen animals put down many times before. I had horses for years. I watched animals get mainlined many times before due to a severe injury, and they needed to be put down. But I never noticed this. And what I noticed is when they gave Chance his medicine, and he took his last breath of air, I noticed that his back 2 feet actually came together as almost as if someone had tied them with a string together, and they extended out in a very perfect form. And there was almost like this release of energy. His soul, his conscious little soul, was returning to his creator. And I didn't understand it at the time, because most of the time when you see an animal being put down and they do something of that nature, it's usually obscured or obstructed because they think that the animal is going to have a bowel movement or urinate because they're expelling, from their body. And generally that can occur too, but that didn't happen with him. He didn't do that. It was just a beautiful release of energy. And I sat there and I held him and I cried. It was so profound. And what I realized was we all have that energy in us, right? In my spiritual awakening, that's why people are saying that it's so profound, that what I'm going through or what's happened to me, because I believe I've had some sort of Kundalini awakening, because I literally feel that energy within me, inside me. It's not on the outside. Nothing about this is on the outside. There is a vibrational energy, a coherence between my heart and my mind in the universe that's undeniable. You know your Buddha, you know your God, you know your consciousness. Not in the larger sense that I'm saying, oh, I'm God. No, I am a microcosm of the huge macrocosm of our Creator, God, Source, Divine, whatever you call it, whatever it is you identify with, right? And that's why things come to you in symbols. That's why I brought up symbols and bits and pieces, because someone doesn't just bring this information to you on a silver platter and say, here's your information. This is what you need to know. And this is why it happened. And this is how it happens. And this is how long it lasts. And if it came to you like that, wouldn't that be pretty fucking boring? And so I'm experiencing a whole bunch of things, right? And they're beautiful, every single one of them. But there's also a negative, a polarity, right? A polarity opposite. It's I know I know it's some sort of polarity between the fallen angel of Satan and God. And the fallen angel of Satan is, the lower realm energy. The lower realm energy is the earthly plane, right? And the earthly plane is run by Satan, run by the fallen angel of God. And that's why we have free will. That's why God says, okay, if you want to go that way and be a shit, go, my child. I bless you and love you. If you want to go this way and walk a path of God, go, my child. I bless you. I love you. There's no judgment. There's no nothing. That's the contract. That's a universal contract that every soul has. But it is not until you are awakened to the feminine and the masculine energy within, that you are that consciousness, that you actually can practice that free will. Because until then, you're in a earthly plane creating habitual mind patterns for yourself, some that you didn't even make up, but that you've lived for and believed your entire life, to the point that you have suffered and forsaken yourself as consciousness, and therefore you have fallen under the grace of Satan in the lower realm energies of Earth. And it won't be until you're aware that awareness will come into play. And it's very fucking profound. And it's, they're not going to deliver a note to you in the door. It's not someone that's going to, you can go to your neighbor and say, can I borrow that? Or can you give me that? Or can you, you know, I can show you, I can tell you my experience and how I got here, where I'm currently sitting. And where I'm currently sitting is in the seat of my soul. The very things that don't serve you, that have hurt you, that you have used and attached yourself to, people, places, things, materialism, will fall away magically. They'll just disappear. And it will be very rapid. It won't take long. But I mean, I guess it's going to be based on an individual basis. I guess. I know that for a fact, really. I don't guess. I know that for a fact because for me, in, what I say, 14 months, 15 days, I'm in a divorce court of a marriage of 30 years. I woke up to the fact that I was married to a person that did not have my best interest at heart. Didn't see it, didn't know it. I was completely obliterated by the fucking crap. Okay? Some of it's my own doing. Actually, all of it's my own doing because I allowed it to happen to me based on limiting belief, habitual mind patterns, things I was taught between the ages of 0 to 7. And those things I took up with me. And so I attached myself to people, places, and things based on that. Didn't matter if those things were good or bad to me, or if they hurt me or caused me harm. It was just what it was. It's no one's fault. It is what it is, and it sometimes takes a village of shit to get where you need to be. So that's why I say it's individual. It's going to be based on you and what your background noise is. That's what I'm going to call it, your background noise, because I don't want to call it a story, because that would mean that I have a story to tell. I don't really have a story to tell, other than wake the fuck up, people. That's what I want to say. The story that gets you to the point of waking up is irrelevant, because it's personal. It's yours. It's no one else's. It's the pain, the suffering, the sorrow, and the sensoria you have put yourself through based on your limiting beliefs, habitual mind pattern, your background noise. So it's going to be individual. But I find that we're in a very profound time, and there's just too many things that are falling into place that the span of my awakening to the coronavirus, the pandemic coming about, and me being told I'm some sort of medical intuitive. It's not that I have anything special to offer. It is that I am supposed to enhance other spiritual teachers in the global collective to awaken other sentinel beings. And I just have a specialty to add to it with the medical knowledge and the actual experience of it myself. So it's a valuable tool to add to the mix. It's not that I'm superior over anybody or inferior or anything in between. It is what it is, and that's how I look at it. And I couldn't figure out why I don't have any fucking thoughts in my head. Why is there not a goddamn thought, one, in my head? I literally have to sit and think. Not what I'm saying to you right now. Because what I'm saying to you right now is not me speaking, it's consciousness speaking through me. But I'm talking about in the practical fashion, if I was walking through my house and I was talking, just in writing notes to myself about grocery list. I literally will stand in the center of the floor and not know what the fuck I'm doing because I don't have a thought in my head. And just 2 seconds before that, I wrote down toilet paper, paper towel, Kleenex, right? And then I turn around maybe to use the restroom or to put, grab a soda or a drink or something like that nature. And I turn and it's like, I don't even know what I'm doing. And it's not coincidental that when this happened to me, the first things out of my mouth was to my spouse of 29 years is, I don't know what the hell you did to me last night, but I feel like you hit me in the head with a baseball bat and stole my soul because I do not know who I am. And I meant it with every ounce of my being. And the reason I didn't know who I was or who I am is because you attach yourself to people, places, and things, and you identify through those people, places, and things of who you are and your self-identity. When it is fucking the biggest facade, the biggest veil that we've put up in front of our face. And that's why when those things fall away, you will literally sit and not know who you are because you've never been shown consciousness in this way. So of course you don't know who you are. Now you have free will. Now I have the ability to co-create with my God, my Lord, my creator, my source, my divine, right? Whatever that is or whatever that means to me in my life, right? But it's all the same. It's not any different. You, me, the neighbor, the dog, the tree, we're all sentinel beings trying to impel through love to the center of what? The Great Spirit, God, the source, infinite, finite, bliss, nirvana, freedom, liberation, healing. I could go on and on. I mean, any word, anything that would describe, but it won't even come close to the feeling that it brings you, that you literally experiencing. It is the. I can't, that's why I'm stuttering somewhat. I don't have a stuttering problem. It's that I can't wrap my intellectual pea brain around the infinite, finite intelligence of this consciousness that just sets you in the seat of your soul with the most unconditional amount of love, joy, and peace that you have ever felt in your entire fucking life and searched your entire life in people, places, and things to feel and find. It's no wonder I never found it in people, places, and things. And if I did, it was only short-lived. But when someone says, well, you were married to that man for how long? Almost 30 years. But in the essence of where I sit, 30 years is a speck. There's no constraint of time where I am. There's no such thing as time. Time is a simple construct. It's a construct that wasn't created by man, and it's a tool to get you from point A to point B on time. It's something that someone taught us to say, hey, you have a doctor's appointment at 9 o'clock. your child needs to be at school at 8, and the gardener's coming at 4. It's to keep everything on schedule, rotating, evolving, right? Moving in a circle. It's like I'm studying certain things that I've always been drawn to as a child, but I'm becoming more knowledgeable in some of those topics, and it's amazing the coincidence. It's like a sequence of coincidences that just seem to magically fall into pattern. And that's why I say it's symbols and patterns and animated, because it's not in the fashion that if you were to talk in the traditional terms of somebody explaining to you what's going on. It's not like someone can write you a letter and bring it to you. You have to go through the darkness and feel whatever it was that you've done to yourself, the suffering, the pain, right? At least I did, to get to the light. It's like, I don't know why I'm going to say this, but I'm going to say this. The woods are far different than the forest. And what is a bad woman but a good woman's teacher? Or what is a good woman but a bad woman's teacher? It's profound. It's like some of the visions and some of the sensations I'm experiencing, if I talked about them, people would have an ideology of an idea of, and assume I'm saying something that I'm not saying, because they can't see or wrap their head intellectually around what I'm saying. It's like the most profound thing I can say about that is the penis, right? Is the penis. Because I literally feel that there was a snake, a serpent, crawling up inside of me, and it frightened me at one point so badly that I was smacking my chest and stomach. But the serpent, once I surrendered to consciousness, I know the serpent is what activates the chakras within our body, and they lie along the spine, because I feel the sensations of the activations. It's a serpent that initiates at the Kundalini, right at the base of the sacral, and it is universal energy. And some people have fallen off horses, and that's been activated in an injury, or been in a motorcycle accident and fell on their tailbone, and that was initiated. Mine was not initiated through an injury, other than the trauma that I have caused through suffering to my psychological bodies, my mental processes, my physical body, and my soul, my spiritual mind. And so what I was literally seeing and feeling was like this feminine side enters as a silvery, slippery silver serpent, and the right side is a masculine serpent, right? It's an orange fiery color, and they swirl and go up the spine, and as they're going up the spine, they combined, masculine and feminine energies combined, and their travel up the spine and up the chakras reminded me of a penile ejaculation occurring. That's the motion and the sense that I was getting. And once it got to the base of my skull, it entered the medulla oblongata into my brain, into the pineal gland, and it released DMT, and the DMT symbolized the semen to me. It was so fucking profound that I don't look at a penis the same anymore now. I can't even look at a penis in a picture and it look the same anymore, because it's not dirty, it's sacred. And now I'm being bathed in that semen, that DMT that was ejaculated in my mind, in the brain, in the pineal gland in my brain. And it's like an ocean of rain coming down on you that is bathing you and coddling you in a blanket of unconditional love, joy, and peace that you can't even fathom. And you want to go and fucking tell everybody, but you're afraid they're going to look at you and think you're crazy. Like I just got done saying, I'm not crazy, people. I'm not crazy. I'm just enhancing something here that some of the other spiritual teachers are talking about. For fuck's sake, I have two bookshelves that are full of books, and I could not read one of them in the last 15 months because of the stuff that's going on in me. I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't sit. I could read a book? Yeah, no, that's not happening. So I got glimpses of people telling me to look at so-and-so or read this or do this. And, I took the suggestions and I grabbed the book if I could grab it, if I could. I grabbed a video or here and there where I could, I could start putting some work in on my end and see what the hell was happening to me, right? Because it was on such a profound level that I knew that it wasn't normal, that what I'm experiencing isn't normal. Or is it? Because I went to the doctor and I said, you're going to have to fucking put me in the hospital because I think I've had a complete break in reality. I think that I'm insane and that I have something living inside me and it's a fucking snake. And I don't know who the hell I am anymore. I can't tell you how to write my fucking name. Right? I ventured into every avenue but as a nurse, it was so fucking profound to me because I was asymptomatic. And I even had to laugh at myself when I looked at the doctor and I said, this is going to sound crazy to you because I know I'm presenting to asymptomatic. I know I look beautiful. I know I look vibrant and my heart's beating perfectly and my blood pressure's perfect and my temperature's perfect and all those things. But I'm telling you what the fuck's going on. And so they ran all the tests to to comfort me, right? To give me some sort of sense of what the fuck is happening, give me some answers, right? And his answer was, and I don't know what's going on with you. He said, but can I show you a picture? And I said, yeah, show me a picture. It kind of distracted me for a minute. And he said, this is your brain. And he said, and the colors really aren't so much the important thing here. The colors are just there because they're pointing out the specific lobes of the brain, and then we can break it down or simplify it with different colors, right? So, but your brain does have colors in it, but he's saying that's not what I want you to focus on. I want you to focus on the activity in the brain by this, and look at where that activity is taking place. He said, I'm a neurologist. I study the brain. I know the brain. And most people don't function on 5% of their brain, 3% of their brain. And other extenuating circumstances can create that function to be even more deficit than 3% if there's a brain injury. And he said, He said, I don't even, when I looked at this, he goes, I was in awe at the activity that is going on in your brain. I wanted to come back here and say, what are you thinking about? He said, you've had an awakening or a spiritual something. I don't know what's going on, but you're 100% normal. All your tests and your labs and your scans and your x-rays have come back normal. Go home. Go home, see if you can't find some modalities or some outside sources that can help you with the transition of what's going on in your life right now. He said, because I'm a neurologist and I don't know anything about spirituality. I'm so wrapped up in my head about these. I don't even remember what he said. He said, I don't even, he goes, I'm not even going to try to pretend that I know what that is. And I'm sorry, I'm stuttering. I don't mean to be stuttering. It's just the energy that's creating that, because it's like a brand new baby child trying to pull on its mother's skirt and get you to pay attention to what the fuck I'm saying. It's the adamancy of my soul propelling me in the direction that I don't want to miss the mark. I want to get this right. So I wanted to document some more tonight, because here I am again at 2:30 in the morning. Spirit has me up, and things are happening, moving, shifting. I'm seeing the number 1212, 1212. 1212 in everything I do. 12 12 999 1010 444 555, and yeah, those are the only ones. But those are enough, right? And I'm not a numerologist, so I don't know what all those numbers mean. I have to actually go Google them. So, but I know this: there are things on our DNA chain that aren't activated. And those numbers could possibly be that's the DNA chain, the link that's being activated, 1212, to a higher activation of consciousness with God, so I can co-create with God. I mean, isn't that what it's all about? I don't have any attachments to any people, places, and things anymore. I have memory of everything that happened, but I have nothing attached to it. It's very fucking weird. Very weird. Again, that's a whole nother fucking topic. So I wanted to document some more, because for some reason I can't sit my silly ass down and write. So I'm documenting it by audio. So I'll be back, I'm sure.